What if I told you that some of the smartest, highest paid people on the entire planet are fighting a war right now over one single thing? And it's not your money they want, not your loyalty, not even your time. It's something you give away every day without thinking, your attention. Because once someone controls your attention, everything else falls like dominoes. Your choices, your habits, your desires, even your beliefs. It all begins with where you look. And here's the unsettling part. While this battle is being fought over your mind every single day, most of us have absolutely no idea it's even happening. Every single time you pick up your phone and unlock that screen, you step onto a battlefield. Thousands of companies, apps, and platforms are all competing at the very same moment for just a few precious seconds of your focus. And this is not a fair fight. Behind these apps sit entire teams, psychologists, neuroscientists, engineers, and designers whose only job is to capture your eyes and keep them locked to the screen. And they will happily spend billions of dollars to win. Why would anyone spend that much? Because your attention is money. Every second you scroll generates data about you. That data is sold to advertisers who pay a fortune to reach you at the perfect moment. The longer you look, the richer they get. Step back and think about history for a moment. 100 years ago, the most valuable resource on earth was oil. Whoever controlled the oil controlled the economy. Wars were fought over it. Entire empires rose and fell because of it. But today, attention is the new oil. The largest companies in the world don't really sell products anymore. They sell access to your attention. Look at the giants: Google, Meta, TikTok, YouTube. Notice something strange? Not one of them charges you a single cent to use their platform. And that should make you suspicious, because if the product is free, then you are the product. Your attention, your data, your behavior, all of it packaged up, measured, and quietly sold to the highest bidder. You're not the customer. You're the inventory. So how do they actually do it? How do you keep billions of people across every country, every age, every culture, glued to one small glowing rectangle? The answer is not better content. The answer is psychology. Many of the most popular apps ever made were built using principles taken directly from behavioral psychology, the science of how human beings think, feel, and make decisions. And I want to be fair here. The people who built these apps are not cartoon villains. They are not sitting in dark rooms trying to ruin your life. The reason they use these techniques is much simpler and honestly more unsettling. They use them because they work extremely well. And once you understand the specific tricks they rely on, I promise you, you will never look at your phone the same way again. The first trick, and arguably the most powerful, is called variable rewards. To understand it, picture a classic slot machine. You drop in a coin, you pull the lever, and you wait. Sometimes you win, sometimes you get nothing. The result is completely unpredictable. And here's what psychologists discovered decades ago. Unpredictable rewards are far more addictive than predictable ones. If the machine paid out every fifth pull, you'd pull it 5 times and calmly walk away. But when the reward is random, when you don't know if the next pull is the big one, you can't stop. Your brain fixates on that one word, maybe. A psychologist named B.F. Skinner, one of the most famous of the 20th century, proved this with simple experiments. Animals pressing a lever again and again for an unpredictable treat. And the uncomfortable truth is that the very same principle works perfectly on humans. And tech companies built it straight into your favorite apps. So think about what really happens when you pull down to refresh your feed. Sometimes you see something funny, surprising, something that genuinely makes you smile. Other times, nothing worth your time at all. The result is unpredictable, exactly like the slot machine, so your brain keeps checking. One more refresh, one more scroll, one more swipe, and maybe, just maybe, this time there's something amazing waiting. Now look closer at the design. The notification sound, the bright red badge sitting on the app icon, the pull to refresh gesture itself. None of these are accidents. Every single one is a deliberate choice, engineered to trigger the exact same loop as a casino slot machine. And this is the part people always underestimate. It works on everyone, not just so-called impulsive people, not just teenagers. Everyone, no matter how smart, how disciplined, or how aware you believe you are. This was never about willpower or weakness. It's about design. And right now, the design is winning against all of us. The second trick reaches even deeper than the first, all the way down to our evolutionary roots. For hundreds of thousands of years, human beings survived in tribes. And back then, belonging to the group was not a nice bonus. It was life or death. If the tribe accepted you, you had food. You had shelter. You had protection from the dangers outside. But if the tribe rejected you, you were cast out. Alone. And in that ancient world, being alone didn't just feel bad, it could literally get you killed. So evolution wired something powerful into the oldest parts of our brain, a deep fear of rejection and an equally deep hunger for approval. Now sit with that for a second. The exact same survival instinct that once kept our ancestors alive around the fire is the instinct today's platforms reach in and exploit masterfully to keep you coming back again and again. Likes, comments, shares, followers. On the surface, they look like harmless little numbers. But your brain doesn't read them as numbers. It reads them as social signals, proof that the tribe sees you and that the tribe approves. So when you post something and the reactions start rolling in, your brain rewards you with a hit of dopamine, the same feel-good chemical released when you eat great food, win a competition, or fall in love. It feels good. And almost instantly, your brain wants more. But now flip it around. What happens when you post something and nobody reacts at all? That silence, that empty, quiet feed, can feel genuinely uncomfortable, almost like being ignored, almost like rejection. And I want to be clear, this is not a character flaw. It's not vanity, and it's not weakness. It's biology, ancient, powerful, and incredibly easy to exploit. The designers know exactly what they're doing when they show you that like count. They're reaching into a system hundreds of thousands of years old and using it to pull you back. The third trick is one of the simplest ideas on this entire list, and also one of the most effective ever invented. Think about every traditional form of media you've ever used. A book has a final page, a magazine has a back cover, a newspaper has a last article. Even a television show eventually rolls its end credits. For all of human history, content came with a natural stopping point, a clear little signal to your brain that said, this is over now, you can stop, you can put it down. And then social media came along and quietly deleted that signal. The infinite scroll, first made popular by Twitter and now copied by nearly every major platform on Earth, was designed with one very specific goal in mind: to remove the stopping point completely, to make sure the content never ever ends. And think about what that actually does to you. When there is no ending, your brain has nothing to grab onto. No chapter break, no commercial, no to be continued. Just more and more and more, forever. This is the real reason 5 quick minutes can silently swell into a full hour, without you ever once making a conscious decision to keep going. You never actually chose to spend an hour on your phone tonight. You just never chose to stop. And that tiny difference is everything. The choice wasn't yours. It was quietly taken from you by design. Here's something that should stop you cold. The man who invented the infinite scroll, Asa Raskin, has openly admitted that he regrets ever creating it. By his own estimate, that single feature now costs humanity around 200,000 hours of attention, every single day. Let that land. 200,000 human hours gone, every single day. Now we come to the fourth trick, and this one is sneakier because it's not really about grabbing your attention all at once. It's about shattering it into tiny pieces. Think about every notification that lights up your screen, every buzz in your pocket, every chime, every tiny red dot waiting on an app icon. Each one acts like a little hook, yanking your brain away from whatever you were focused on and dragging it somewhere else. And in that instant, it forces your mind to make a tiny decision. Do I look at this or do I ignore it? But here is the cruel little trap. Even if you're disciplined, even if you decide not to look, it's already too late. The interruption has happened. The fragile thread of your concentration is already snapped. And those lost seconds of deep focus, you don't get them back for free. They add up far faster than you would ever guess. And this is where the real damage shows up. Researchers who study workplace productivity found something genuinely alarming. After a single significant interruption, it can take a person more than 20 minutes to fully return to deep concentration on a complex task. 20 minutes for one interruption. Now stop and think about how many interruptions the average person gets in a single day. Not one or two, dozens, sometimes hundreds. Now picture trying to build something complex and delicate, a 1,000-piece puzzle, an intricate model, a careful long-term plan, while someone stands right next to you and shakes the table every few minutes. You'd never finish it. You'd barely make any progress at all. And that constant shaking is exactly what fragmented attention does to your thinking, to your creativity, to your ability to solve hard problems and build things that actually matter. But now, finally, some good news. Here is the single most important insight in this entire video. These tricks only work in the dark. They depend on you not noticing them. They work when the slot machine just feels like harmless scrolling, when the validation loop just feels like checking your phone, when the infinite scroll just feels like relaxing after a long day. But the very moment you can clearly see the mechanism for what it is, everything changes. And here's the relief. Seeing through these tricks does not mean you have to throw your phone into a river. You don't have to delete the entire internet. You don't have to move to a mountaintop and become a monk. That's not the goal, and honestly, it's not realistic. What you actually need is something much quieter and much stronger. Awareness. Because the instant you can spot the trick as it's happening, you finally get something back. A real choice, not the manufactured illusion of one. So let's get practical. There are small specific changes that make a surprisingly big difference. First, turn off every non-essential notification. Remember, each notification is really a company tapping you on the shoulder, asking for your attention. And their goals are not your goals. You are allowed to ignore them. Second, build screen-free blocks into your day. Even 1 single hour with your phone in another room will change how calm and how clear your mind feels. And third, start treating your attention like money. Think about it. You would never hand your wallet to a complete stranger and say, "Here, take whatever you want." Yet that is almost exactly what you do every time you open an app with no intention. So here's a simple habit that can change everything. Before you unlock your phone, pause and ask yourself one honest question. What am I actually looking for right now? And if you don't have an answer, that by itself is your answer. Because attention, once spent, can never be refunded. So let's bring it all together. The richest, most powerful companies in human history were built on one single foundation. Not oil, not land, not gold. Your attention. This was never a maybe. It's happening right now to all of us. So the real question is this. Now that you can finally see it, what are you going to do about it? Because whoever controls your attention quietly shapes what you believe, what you want, and in the end, who you become. They already know exactly what your attention is worth. The only question left is whether you do. If this video made you stop and think, subscribe and start taking your attention back.